Nightcrawler basically kind of comes at it at a different angle, and he asks Graydon why he hates mutants, and Graydon starts talking about like because they were born and things like that, and Nightcrawler kind of makes his point by going into Graydon's parentage and like why he is the way he is, and Mystique abandoning him is a part of that. Sabretooth beating him ruthlessly is a part of that. And like so much Sabretooth abused him so much to the point where he has a permanent scar on his face. And then when Sabretooth found out that Graydon wouldn't actually be a mutant, even though Graydon had waited until he was 13, because he says that it was because he could be like them, or he would be able to hunt and he would be able to kill just like his dad or whatever. But I think he was planning to kill his father. And that's why he was hoping to get power. Season 2, Episode 7, Strange Land, Savage Hearts. Okay, so we are back on Genosha. On Genosha, we see the tragedy from a different perspective. It is focused on Ileana, who is Magic, and Colossus, who are basically saving other mutants when the Wild Sentinel attacks. And Magic and before Colossus can actually get to her, she is murdered. We then flash to a Graydon Creed presidential rally of bigots and zealots alike. Graydon has announced his presidency, and when the Acolytes and Colossus show up, the Acolytes plus Colossus show up, and they take Graydon Creed, who once again is Sabretooth's son. Remember, Morph said, "I can't believe Creed is your son," to Sabretooth, and we were talking about Graydon Creed. Exodius, who is an Omega level mutant, and I think his powers are like teleportation and something else. I gotta look it up. I think I did. Exodius takes responsibility for the kidnapping of Graydon, and the Acolytes basically demand that the rest of the mutants that X Factor took. Dr. Cooper and Xavier debate about sending X Factor into the Savage Lands, and into the Savage Lands, but Xavier has already sent the X-Men. Like, he's like, I mean, you can send in whoever you want to. I've already sent in who I'm gonna send in. He is really like, fuck you, bitch. Like, and I appreciate it, because like, stand on something, Xavier. Or just, be a good person, Xavier. So the Acolytes have fixed Sinister's inhibitor towers in the Savage Lands, so no one's powers work except for the Acolytes' powers. The Acolytes fire at the Blackbird, causing it to basically taking it out and blowing out most of the back of the fucking Blackbird. Like, they blew out most of the back of the Blackbird. And Bishop's powers are basically building up, which I never really thought about, the fact that he must have to exert some amount of energy if he's taking on energy. But I also never thought about the fact that he creates his own energy and is able to absorb other people's energy also. I just, like, if nobody's giving him energy, I'm thinking that he wouldn't have any, but he creates his own energy. Like, his body creates his own energy quite like our bodies do too, like through eating and, that kind of thing. So I thought that was really interesting, like, look into his powers, like the fact that his powers can build up. Once again, this could be something that is from the earlier cartoon that I missed, because I really have to go through the earlier cartoon with like a fine-tooth comb to do that breakdown. But yes, he is basically having a buildup of his powers. So Bishop is basically sucked out of the Blackbird, and Polaris jumps to go get him. Like, she just goes ahead and rescues him. She grabs a parachute, and she is actually able to catch up with Bishop, and like, they land. I mean, it was hard, but they land. They don't die. And they look cute. I couldn't find any recollection of Bishop and Polaris together before. So honestly, this just feels like some X-Men 97 machinations, and I'm here for it. I don't know if somebody who's in the writer's room was like, damn, you know who I want to see together? Polaris and Bishop. Because honestly, I like it. I usually am not, a huge fan of the swirl, but like, yeah, I have my moments where I'm like, all right, okay, like Zendaya and Tom Holland, yeah, okay, all right, I'm cool with that. But like, yeah, but outside of that, I don't know. Bishop and Polaris look nice. I like it. I just want to point out the fact that Magneto has some strong ass daughters. Like, and it's almost fucking funny because he does like kind of favor Pietro over his daughters, or at least Pietro kind of seems like the least amount of trouble for him, so he kind of favors him, and his daughters are just fucking like powerful fucking kids, man. Or powerful fucking mutants. Cause I mean you got Scarlet Witch on one side and then Polaris on the other. Like, that's like iconic parentage. Like, honestly, Magneto should be very proud of his kids because like he is that nigga when it comes to having mutant children and having mutant children with high level like powers and issues, high level issues too. We ain't gonna pretend like it was all gravy, but definitely a fan of a person who creates kids with a lot of power, and I put some respect on Magneto. Yeah, put some respect on Magneto. Bishop's powers are still continuously building up, and Colossus basically comes to the rescue of the rest of the X-Men, in which Colossus basically comes to the rescue of the X-Men. Colossus asks what they want, and Rogue says that they are looking for Graydon, in which Colossus shuts it down immediately. He's like, I can't give him to you. No, can't give him to you. Nightcrawler pleads with Colossus, basically telling him that Graydon and him share a mom, which they do. Mystique's so Graydon Creed is Sabretooth and Mystique's child. Nightcrawler is Mystique and Azazel's child that she just kind of abandoned, and Rogue is Mystique's adopted daughter. Which, why the fuck is you adopting kids if you ain't taking care of your own? Anyway, so the Acolytes don't want to hear it, but they do actually invite the X-Men in for a tour of the home, and Colossus explains how he kind of joined the Acolytes, why he hadn't gone back to the X-Men, and he does like it's more of that like kind of Magneto was right type shit, and like, do you not hear where they're going? And of course the Acolytes of Magneto are like, they believe that he was right. um Colossus has actually painted some beautiful, beautiful paintings of people that we lost, or people that the X-Men or the mutants have lost, and I thought that was really nice. I thought that was a really nice touch for Colossus's character. Um so Colossus takes the X-Men to see Graydon, and Nightcrawler is like tries to talk to Graydon, and they recite the same sermon, which is funny because it makes me question if Mystique was at some point religious. Like, cuz I know there was a village with the Nightcrawler situation, but I don't know if she was like OD religious in the village. You know what I'm saying? So it does though kind of, but Rogue didn't join in, so maybe not, but I don't know. I don't know. It was weird, but they say the same sermon, and Kurt basically argues for a day in court to Colossus for Graydon, and he's just like, how basically he deserves due process, which I don't think he does, but Nightcrawler is really on some shit like, this is my brother, you know, perfect, bad, indifferent, whatever. This is my brother, and I appreciate it because I understand it. You love your siblings, and so Kurt says if Exodius wins, that he will become an acolyte, but if he wins, that he wants them to release Graydon. So Polaris and Bishop team up to take out the inhibitor tower and free the X-Men basically by giving them their powers back. And Exodius runs down all of Graydon Creed's crimes against mutants. And Nightcrawler basically kind of comes at it at a different angle. And he asks Graydon why he hates mutants. And Graydon starts talking about like because they were born and things like that. And Nightcrawler kind of makes his point by going into Graydon's parentage and like why he is the way he is. And Mystique abandoning him is a part of that. Sabretooth beating him ruthlessly is a part of that. And like so much Sabretooth abused him so much to the point where he has a permanent scar on his face. And then when Sabretooth found out that Graydon wouldn't actually be a mutant, even though Graydon had waited until he was 13, because he says that it was because he could be like them, or he would be able to hunt and he would be able to kill just like his dad or whatever. But I think he was planning to kill his father. And that's why he was hoping to get powers. But once Sabretooth finds out that Graydon doesn't actually have powers, he abandons him after all of that fucking mental abuse. And that kid like kind of creating a Stockholm syndrome within, himself, because he does talk about just making it to 13. So I feel like he was kind of like telling himself, it's okay, it's what's supposed to happen. Once I get 13, I'll be okay. I can defend myself. And it sucks because his powers never came. And I think that is one of those things that is like really like powerful as far as like a message. And basically Nightcrawler's message about who Graydon is and why Graydon is the way he is becomes a little bit too universal, because everyone is kind of relating to what Graydon went through. Because as mutants, they can understand this because they are oppressed people. They are people who have been shut out of their own communities by their own family, who have been beat by their own family for just being different and not being, human, but being mutant. So it's the exact same situation. It's just opposite person, opposite circumstances. And I thought it was like ingenious of Nightcrawler to invoke this feeling and of this emotion throughout everyone. But once he does, Exodius gets upset because he's like, oh, this nigga finna win. And I thought that was just the funniest shit ever. Because, like, how are you that upset that somebody is about to win? Like, when you okayed the case be argued, it was just crazy. So Graydon gets upset and attacks Colossus of all people and threatens to kill him. Polaris and Bishop are able to actually take out the tower and help the X-Men. Exodius and Nightcrawler go sword for sword in a super fucking cool sword battle. I love when Nightcrawler pulls out the sword. He is so fucking dope. And it's kind of cool because they both kind of teleport and they both are like swordsmen. It's just dope. It's so fucking dope. Um Nightcrawler would have actually won, but Graydon shoots Exodius and takes Kurt hostage. And Graydon he takes Kurt hostage, and he takes Graydon takes Kurt hostage, and he's like, get me out of this place. Like, basically, like, nigga, get me the fuck on. I know you know how to. And he does, like, it's so funny because Nightcrawler could have killed you. Like, you holding a gun to his head. By the time you were able to pull that fucking trigger, he could have teleported. It makes no sense. But Nightcrawler does what he says, and he does teleport. but when they teleport, Nightcrawler strangles Graydon. And he tells him that he isn't worth the mercy that he is fighting for him. But that's God's decision. And while he may not be a mutant, he is his parents' son. And it's funny because we get, in the Weapon X lives and DVDs, we hear Morph talk about how he didn't believe that Sabretooth was Graydon's son, but now he does. And, Nightcrawler just kind of hammers that shit in a little bit more by saying, like, nah, you might not be a mutant, but you your fucking parents' son. And it's something to be said about that. As a kid who kind of grew up with parents with a troubled past, or at least a parent with a troubled past, parents with a troubled past, it's up to you to decide who you want to be. Like, people are going to tell you all the time who you are and they're gonna tell you that you're this way because of your DNA or you're that way because of your DNA. And it's truly like you get to decide who you are. You can be your parents. You can, go down the same route as your parents, but honestly, you don't have to. You can be better. You can be better than the motherfucker telling you ain't gonna be shit, but like your parent, you can be better. So never let anyone pigeonhole you into some bullshit because they don't think that they can be better. Okay? So Dr. Cooper and Xavier debate about the fact that Graydon Creed was returned. Like, he was unharmed. He was left freezing, but he was unharmed. So I don't even see how that's a conversation. No one hurt him. He caused more fucking issues than anything, but he's still alive. Exodius isn't. So Colossus actually returns to the X Mansion, which I feel like that's kind of dope. It almost feels like we're getting New Mutants not New Mutants, but we're getting the team back together for this apocalypse shit because we gonna need it. Cause we got Colossus coming, which that can go either way with this whole shit. But we got Colossus coming back for this episode. We got Polaris coming back for last episode. Of course, Bishop is there. We got Quentin Quire. We got I think Wing is still alive. I don't know if Wing has his powers because we don't know about that storyline. But yeah, so it's really interesting to see what we're gonna see with this apocalypse showdown. Like, I am so excited for this apocalypse showdown. Colossus says, so Nightcrawler does ask Colossus if he had convinced him, and Colossus says no, but he says that he would have convinced Ileana because he knows that his sister would have recognized like the issues, like in the way Graydon was raised. And that is where we end with that storyline. But we do open up in Greece again, and we actually see X-Force parachuting into what I think is an Acropolis, where Apocalypse had his lab set up two episodes ago, maybe last episode. And what we see in this Acropolis where the lab was set up is Apocalypse as a corpse and a playing card. And Jubilee finds it and she's like, oh shit. But what I do want to say is I do know that Apocalypse can put his essence into other mutants. Like, he can take over other mutants' bodies. So I didn't put together that he had put himself into Gambit. I thought Gambit was just going to be a horseman. And since Death has died, or Death was killed by X-Force, I thought maybe Gambit would just become a horseman. But now I think maybe Apocalypse is in Gambit's body, which is, that's finna fuck Rogue up. But if that happens. But yes, we are at the end of this episode and we are moving into next week's episode. So I will be giving you a breakdown before the end of this week for X-Men 97 episode 8. I will be here with you guys for episode 8. Let me make sure I'm talking about, yes, episode 8. We won't be stalling anymore. We will be back to our regular upload. We'll be back to our regular upload schedule. So you guys check me out. And if you want to see, like, first of all, thank you guys for following, subscribing, and everything. Make sure that if you are watching this and you are not subscribed, to subscribe to my channel, to hit the bell so that you get notifications on when I post videos. I try to post every week. Sometimes I get backed up, but we try and get some content out to you guys every week. If you want to see personal things of me, like if you want to follow me or you want to know what I buy when I go to Sephora or Ulta or something like that, please follow my Patreon. I put like personal stuff on my Patreon. Yes, it is behind a paywall because it is personal. I also have like Marvel comic reviews for the books that I read behind my Patreon. I garden with my Patreon followers on Friday mornings. We will be starting that either this week or next week, starting it back. I do like makeup haul. I do like shopping hauls over there. I also like do vlogs or whatever, just, the crazy stuff that I'm doing. And yeah, so if you want to see any of that, you do have to go over and become a member of my Patreon. It is not free, but it is cheap. Cause like I said over there, I tend to be a cheap bitch. So yeah, it is not free, but it is cheap. So you can subscribe over there and we can have some fun. And of course we can talk and we can have conversations about all of these things that we are watching. We can watch movies together over there on Patreon. So there's a limitless possibilities. There are limitless possibilities over on Patreon. So please, please, please give me a follow for my Patreon and I will be sharing content with you guys. All right. Also my Percy Jackson San Diego Comic Con like breakdown is over there also. So if you want to see like me talk about the things that happened at San Diego Comic Con and the panels, that is over there. So you got to go over there. But yeah, guys, bye heroes. Thank you so much for tuning in.